Welcome to Identity Unboxed, where we provide mentorship and promote representation for Black professionals in the advancement of the Black community.
We are seeking guidance from exceptional Black leaders, scholars, and professionals with expertise in their respective fields.
We hope to foster a space that promotes authenticity, inclusivity, and restoration for our listeners while exploring the intersection of our personal and professional lives.
This project is a culmination of our lived experiences as young Black professionals to transform our life trajectories to overcome adversity and reach triumph.
Our intention is to inspire you on your path to discovering your purpose. Would you reflect on not only your identity as a Black woman in business, you've kind of spoken to this, but just your accomplishments at such a young age? We mentioned, you're Gen Z, we're all Gen Z here, and, what do you believe sets Gen Z apart when it comes to advancing our careers? And then also, what words of wisdom would you have told your younger self? I know that's a lot, so feel free to let me know if you want me to go back to the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I touched on the Gen Z earlier, like definitely having connection to the internet, and you can do things without education. But your, like, the advice that I would give myself when I was young, this question, like, for some reason, like the way that you put it put me I literally just sat in a very vulnerable place in myself, speaking to the young girl that just bless her heart. She was just fighting so hard. And also how kind of drawing 2 points together here, but just I felt so alone and I wasn't. And through choosing to, it's constant decisions that you have to make, I think this has definitely strengthened my relationship with myself and having to teach myself how to be disciplined in order to keep the ball rolling. And it can be really hard in times when it's really hard. And but oh gosh, where was I going? But yeah, no, I'm not alone. And in those times, there's been moments where I'm man, how am I gonna pay rent? And then no shit, someone comes in, quarter to closing, comes in, sits down, hangs out for 2 hours, is, a couple from Atlanta, and hears your story, in this moment that I'm vulnerable and feel like sharing my story with these strangers. And they purchase not only a piece that I brought back, basically, on my back from Kenya, but they also buy a few other pieces and put $10,000 in my pocket, and not only my pocket, but the artist's pocket that I am also, just my, how I feel with just so passionately wanting to support the women in Kenya, developing relationships, authentic relationships with artists here, and seeing them grow, seeing them taking a chance on themselves, putting their work into a gallery space for the first time, and sharing knowledge of, what the industry is like. And in art, Seattle really isn't the greatest. We don't have a strong, maybe, I don't know. It's not the biggest with Black art. And so, it's Seattle is not New York. But yeah, when I received that, you know, when that, when I'm being, you know, facing no, that's not the way to say this. Just being able to meet other people that also share love towards investing into like the culture and young people who are like trying to do good things and like big things. It just being that moment where I get to call an artist to be like, I just sold a $7,000 piece and I'm going to write you this check. You know, like that's my favorite thing because it's just a win. Like that's a win that's larger than us. And yeah, so I think I answered.
Yes,
that.
you answered it so well. And I
Yeah.
just wanted to also reframe kind of your perspective there. You talked about how your younger self, you know, you felt so isolated and you came to realize that you weren't, you know, really, you weren't alone once you're able to make all these beautiful connections you have and build this rich life for yourself. But could you share what your younger self would think of you now after all of these accomplishments that you've made to hear, you know, you said, I'm calling up an artist and I've sold your art and you're making, you know, a tangible impact on these people's lives. And what would your younger self think of you?
If I knew that this was going to happen or if I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah. To see you now, to see you, that young little girl, to see you where you're at, you know, it's something I think that it's important to reflect on, to really appreciate all that you've done and all that you worked for.
um, that's a great question. I would because like in the wins, I just throw on like my Nicki Minaj and the little girl that was dancing, like she was Nicki Minaj in that moment. And in my room, like those are the moments where I would just like, you know, be a little superstar, the one that I know that I am.
I love that.
And you know, I would probably just think that, girl, you already do. Like,
Yes,
who do you think
that's exactly right. You know it's gonna work out.
You already knew it. That reminds me, I saw this quote not too long ago, and it was comparing life because I would just, you know, the other day I was having a really hard time. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, we all have before me moments like, why is life happening to me right now? What is this? And I saw this quote that was like, life is like a thriller, like a movie, and if you already know that everything's going to work out in the end, what's the point of the thriller? Like, what? There's no point, right? And so it was sense and grounded me because it was like, okay, you know what? I know it's going to work out in the end, but I'm in this thriller right now. It's a little scary. I don't know what's going to happen next. But
Yeah.
I think what you said about the universe, about releasing control and just trusting divine timing and God's timing is really important.
Yes. And this brings me to a pretty profound moment, you know, in my life where I remember, you know, being in middle school, even just like in multiple times as a young girl, I had this vision in my mind. I think it was even, there was just a vision I had in my mind. And it was me like I was really like obsessed with my outfit in this moment. I was wearing all white and I had like a blazer on, some flowy white pants, and I had a necklace, and I was in like a socializing like scene in an art gallery. But like this event would be, maybe it's my art gallery, maybe it's like celebrating something that I did that was good. Like I had this very clear vision of myself, and I lived that exact moment to the T. when I opened these doors for the first, like I had such a deja vu moment, like as I'm pouring the glass, you know, even relaunching, like pouring the champagne bottle, you know, wearing white. I was able to see what that necklace looked like. I was in that exact moment. And like, damn, like I actually, by following, you know, that driver and that inner voice of like, oh, I want to like just wanting to paint that day, you know, all day, or just spend a day in bed watching like Africa documentary, like that, fashion documentaries, that all contributed to like my decisions that ended up building a life involving like that interest. And like I just manifested that. And so now I had no idea that I was going to reach. Like I wanted, my North Star was to be on Forbes 30 under 30. And like I hit that like last year. And I'm like, okay, and it's still like this all has its own struggles, you know, that are actually now seem larger than what mine were before. But in those hard moments, I center myself by allowing myself to have another vision of what the next version of me looks like, you know, like, and I'm like, okay, we'll see when she gets there. But you know, and that's the exciting part, is like you can really create your life and you can write your story. So have fun with it and get creative with it, and don't hold back, because you absolutely have no idea, you know, you of what you're capable of. And like, yeah, I feel what you shared, and that just brought so much out of me there. But it's get excited and build that vision. I'm so excited for you, because it'll be really interesting. Like we'll need to do a coffee for when you get back from Africa, and just what that
I'm so excited for Brad too.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. I'm really excited. And again, you know, seeing you on your trip is what inspired me to go on mine, because I had a little opportunity, came across some extra money, and I was like, okay, like aside from all the debt, I have to do something nice for myself. And so I was like, I don't want to go to Europe. I don't want, like, I want to go to the motherland. Like, I want to go what feels like home in my heart, like where I have that calling. And, you know, it seems like after that trip, you blossomed. And so, you know, I'm hoping I have a similar experience where it'll really ground me, and bring me back down to earth, literally. And just being able to experience, you know, the motherland outside of like the westernized, you know, view of it from the States. And so thank you. We're definitely going to have to get coffee. That's for sure.
I would love that.
I feel that wanting to embrace you, and, you know, like, yeah. Where are you going?
I'm going to Cape Town, South Africa. Yeah. So I know, I'm like, I was like, I've never been out of the country before. And so I was like, okay, it's like my first time out of the country, and I'm a little scared. And so I was like, I think I'm just going to like go to Cape Town. I know it's so generic, but I was like, I'd still, you know, I'll do the touristy things and get the feel. So
I'm actually looking at an artist from South Africa. And when I was telling that story of a person, an artist who put their work in a gallery for the first time, she just moved here. She moved here a few years ago, and she's moving back now. But this is, oh gosh, you can't see. This is her work.
Wow, that is so beautiful. For those listening, there's the most beautiful painting. that Avery is showing us here. I wish I could describe it. I don't think I can do it justice by providing a description.
Well, no worries, because I can. It's this is on a thin kind of it's on a masonite board. It's a young boy wearing his white kind of traditional garb, but his skin is sketched in charcoal, and he has a yellow flower just on his eye. I mean, I think it could either be a young girl or boy. I mean, it's a child. Yeah, with a background, lots of contrast. And Lele, she's been working with young people in the clinical world, and so charcoal and just art was just her hobby. And I mean, some of the detailed work that it's just incredible. And she just recently decided to quit her job and dedicate herself 100% to the craft, and every single piece I've had on my wall I've sold her. So yeah, I mean, it's just, I love her. I
also have to
but
say,
South Africa is very well. Just all of that is to say that South Africa is a very rich in culture area and part of Africa. I mean, they have very strong history, and definitely go to the museums, and they have wine. I mean, the land is just yeah. And I just, the culture too is very like artsy. They're really big into arts, and just the South Africans that I've met and their personalities and like how they rep South Africa is always just like very lively and vibrant, and they have their own like style of music. We got Twyla,
yes.
like house music is their thing, and you have South African architecture, which is like white with like all of these different colors and like their distinct fabrics. So you're gonna see all of that. It's like just a very colorful place in Africa in a unique way. So yeah, I'm excited for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I will say, just going back to what you're doing after showing that art piece, I feel like what's beautiful about what you're doing, and I really think the key to receiving is, giving back. What I love about what you do in your business, that, when you make a profit off a painting, you're giving that's really, someone else is getting paid for their art. And, you're also, benefiting from that, being able to sustain where you're at in your livelihood, but also showcase the beautiful African art that you do. And so that's why I feel like what you're going to do and what TASWIRA is going to turn into is just beyond probably what any of us can imagine, because you've given back so much. And I feel like when you just pour into other people's cups, like the universe is going to give you a huge blessing back. And so just thank you for literally being an example of how to give back, and showing that, having your own business doesn't necessarily mean it's all about you, right? What you're doing is showcasing culture, history, art, and, putting food on the table for other people, helping them pay their bills as well. And so just holistically what you're doing, like, I feel like, universe had sand on you. So
that's like one of the best compliment I feel like you could receive is like, God, spirit, universe has their hand on your back.
Yeah, we're just so honored to be able to share this space with you, and for you being so open with us and honest about your journey. You spoke to the challenges of entrepreneurship, your adaptability, where you're looking to head to in the future with TASWIRA, and just reflecting on all of that, and you've shared so many just rich points throughout everything. Could you just speak to what Blackness means to you? It's a question that we ask all of our guests, and I feel like you have touched on this just kind of throughout the entire conversation, but if there's any particular point that you would like to emphasize just about your Blackness personally, please feel free.
I would love to share. The kind of summarizing, all of the areas, I wrote it down. So Blackness, it's strength. Hold on, let me change my tone. It's strength. It is art. It's tribal. It's being a descendant of the African warriors in our ancestry. Like, our blood comes from warriors chasing down lions with spears and, living amongst the completely immersed in wildlife and, just, and how our culture has evolutionized through music, fashion, and hair. That's what Blackness means to me.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much. And you really speak to how there's so many different communities within, the Black community. We say Black community it's not a monolith. It is polyolithic. And that's something that we've touched on in almost every single interview we've had. And you are able to kind of depict that there with what you had said about how it's a culmination of our history, even before, slavery. Like we had a history before all of these struggles and, painful experiences that our people have had to endure over time. And, we are resilient people that endure, and celebrating joy is something that I think has been one of the main, through lines throughout all of our Blackness too. So I appreciate you pointing that out.
Thank you for giving me the space to do that.
Thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I know this is going to touch a lot of people who have similar paths to you, and I hope this episode inspires a lot of people, and I hope your journey just continues to inspire folks who want to start their own thing, because, through helping yourself is how you can help the collective. So you've shown that you really did your big one, and here you are.
Just follow your voice.
I love that. Yeah. So, Avery, is there anything else that you'd like to add before we close? You've shared so much, but happy to hear anything you'd like to.
Well, 3 things. Just touching on anyone else who listens to this or, wants to learn more about, get closer to how that could feel like, being in touch with your African heritage, just like learning about that. I wasn't someone who read. I was definitely an experienced person. And then I discovered the wonderful world of literature and how others have, written, how they've experienced their life, and getting into reading has really opened up my mind and changed my life in ways that, I didn't have to go through the hard things to, it's just, so I just want to encourage people to read, but also, with all of this being said, in our space being available for it to touch, people in these ways, and being a part of the community that's building throughout this space. We are available on Peerspace for bookings. right now. That has kind of been a new feature that has been a self-taught thing on just learning how to operate an event space and prepare for something like that, and be confident in doing that too. And so with our new renovations, I feel like we've been able to really curate experiences for larger groups comfortably. So yes, and I want to encourage people to come see the space. Our current artist in exhibition right now is titled Expressions of Life, Multicultural Mosaic by Olumide Shegon. And he is an artist based in Lagos, Nigeria. And his form is through hyperrealism paintings. And so he has a full collection of 16 pieces on display right now. And also an incredible time to be a part of in his journey. He has been all over the world, and even has pieces in the Vatican, and has been in all kinds of prestigious spaces in Africa, in Europe, in Australia, and even South Korea. But this is the first time that a gallery is representing his work in America. And, with that even not being said, just getting lost in his work and how he's expressed African identity through his media. So incredibly, realistically, but also not, is quite the sight to see. So, and then also, of course, following us on Instagram through at TASWIRA.Africa.
Love it. Thank you so much for plugging that. Everyone that is listening in, you need to visit the gallery. It is absolutely stunning. And I loved that exhibit. It was actually unreal. To see those, actually, they were photos, and I was like, these are like pictures of real people. Like, yeah, I don't even know how to capture it because it was just so beautiful. The talent is like immeasurable. Avery, could you share your favorite book that has been transformative? Because you said you love literature, and I want our listeners to pick up that book.
Yes.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
It up no, it's Unbowed.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing her name right because I still struggle with that. I'm reading it right now, actually, and it's a memoir of a woman named Wangari Maathai, and she was the first women's Nobel Peace Prize, and she's from Kenya, in Africa. So,
okay.
Yeah. She's a Nobel Peace Prize winner and developed an organization that was able to bring people together, and she advocated towards women's rights, and also had a huge environmental footprint that was left. And just reading her memoir and seeing parts of like myself and where I want to be, I feel like I could relate to this story at any stage in my life and in this process. So far, just having that passion and feeling like something needs to be done. I totally recommend that book.
Thank you. Great. Well, I'm adding that to my reading list. And Avery, again, we just appreciate you so much. Grateful to know you. Grateful to be here with you. Excited to see where you're headed. I will definitely be at the gallery again soon. Can't wait to see the other exhibits that come up and other events you have. So
come to one of our events. We do yoga too. here now.
Oh, I love yoga. Okay. We need to practice mindfulness, all of us. So.
Perfect.
On the 25th, centering on the heart chakra and just, healing ourselves. And it'll be followed by a sound bath and tea.
Oh, amazing.
So if you're available on that Sunday, you should come down.
Thank you.
It's in the evening.
Okay.
It's 6 to 8.
Awesome.
You'll see me there.
Great. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, we look forward to connecting with you again soon. I hope we can get coffee and debrief Brad's trip to South Africa. It'd be so fun. And just everything else life related. So thank you.
Hey, we're locked in now. So
yes. I know.
Locked in.
You know where to find us. You have our number, so.
Yeah, you're a writer. I literally, now is the time where I'm like, I need friends who are writers.
Really? See how life works. Well, Avery, let me know. I'm happy to help with anything that you need. I fully support what you're doing, so let me know anytime. Great. All right, well, have a fantastic rest of your Sunday and weekend. Can't wait to see you soon.
See you soon.
Too.
All right, bye.
Bye.
We are so grateful for your support, and thank you for listening to Identity Unboxed.
Authenticity is your guide to cast an impact on the world that you will be proud of. Signing off with pride, Tiana
and Brad.
Thank you so much.